Rules TV, where the underground meets the playground. I'm Josh Williams.
I'm Jeff Rappaport.
And
I'm Brian Biley.
Hi, and hey Jeff, why don't you find our guest for this week?
Oh yeah, let me go see if I can rummage around the other rooms if I can find something.
Find someone.
See what's going on here.
Is it Danger Mouse?
No. Is that your bottle of Jack Daniels?
Yeah.
Nice. I like how you roll. Oh man.
Whoa.
This is impressive. Wow.
Look at this cute little guy. Should we keep him?
Yeah. Welcome to the show.
Yeah.
Make sure I hurt yourself.
Where do you want to sit?
Well, you here, so my beer is here, right?
Yeah.
Oh, you take that seat, Ken.
Jeez. It's all about the beer placement.
The beer holds sway.
Welcome, Doc Coyle of God Forbid. Say hello to the camera.
Hello.
Thanks. So, you guys have a new album coming out soon. You guys want to talk about that just a little bit?
Yeah, we have a new album coming out on Victory Records called Equilbrium. It comes out March 26th, and it's pretty badass.
Yeah.
It might be our best album, I think. You know?
Ever?
Yeah, I mean, I think we spent the most amount of time on it. We probably worked on it for like 2 years between the conception of the songs and pre-production and recording. I think, my brother left the band, and he was another guitar player and vocalist, and he was kind of like, we were like at odds a lot with what he was doing, so that kind of freed us up a little bit, because there was just so much tension, and he almost was not anti-metal, but he just, he just wanted to do other things.
Okay.
And so things just flowed easier, and they were smoother, and the biggest deal was like figuring out, because he wrote so many lyrics and did so much stuff with the vocals, like, what's the new vocal style going to be, or how am I going to fit in that?
Right.
And once we kind of figured that out, then it kind of, I don't know, we kind of turned this other leaf, and all of a sudden, I don't know, I think it might be our best album.
So with the new lineup, are you doing more of the vocals now? Is it kind of like a split still? Like, how's it working now as compared to what you were doing before?
Well, I kind of went into the Dallas role, which is essentially being a secondary vocalist, doing the majority of the melodic stuff. But Byron stepped up, and he wrote a lot of melodic stuff, and he sings quite a bit on the record, and we go back and forth. Like, it was important to me that there was an interplay, like there was a back and forth, just to give another voice, to give it a little variety. It was also me kind of discovering my lyrical style and my voice,
Do you think that the new guitars like fit in with what you guys were doing so that it's seamless, or do you think there's a bit of a difference, like an evolution kind of to the sound?
Both.
Both, all right.
Part of the reason why is I was friends with our new guitar player is Matt Wickland. Mm-hmm. He played with Himza, and he also wrote with World Gain of Nevermore.
Oh, okay.
So I'd known him for several years, and kind of like kept an eye on what he was doing. Saw knew he was a songwriter, and he was a lead guitar player, and he was talented. And part of the reason why when he first got involved, it was on like just a fill-in, like he was just gonna come on the road with us. And in the back of my head, it was like, well, just in case, I want a guy that might be able to, vibe with what we were already doing,
Sure.
So, so a bunch of he wrote a lot of material, like maybe half the songs.
Oh wow.
His songs, and a bunch of songs like me and him, it's like half my stuff and half his. So we
I heard the new song, and it does sound much different.
Yeah.
That song I wrote.
Right. Oh, that's strange. But
yeah,
did you get a different vibe just knowing you'd have different guys in the band?
Yeah, but I mean, I think that song, it's like funny, I kind of had a little Twitter battle today, like where I put out some stuff about, because people were like, oh, this sounds, people were like, this sounds gent.
Oh, yeah,
like
gent?
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Gentle?
No.
No, what does that mean?
Well,
Gentile?
It's kind of like a subgenre within a subgenre that's the term, as far as I know, was either coined by Periphery, or maybe their fans coined it. I don't know where. But essentially, it's the sound is actually reverts back to Meshuggah. And their guitar tone and the way they palm you to the strings. That it wasn't just like regular like Metallica. Dun, 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 dun. It was like dun, 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 dun. It was the way But it's very nerdy. It actually has to do
it's
like how your gear is set up, the way you actually
yeah.
And then it kind of the term blew up, and this whole subgenre where it's like Periphery and Tesseract and Born of Osiris and all these other like new school bands, and people, and most of these bands, they use like 7-string guitars and they tune low, but it's almost like Korn spawned new metal. Yeah. Like they're almost responsible for the entire genre. Meshuggah is in a lot of ways is kind of like the godfather of like this whole thing. And I think that's ironic about it is that it actually happened like 15 years after the band has been around. Like it wasn't like Meshuggah came out and all of a sudden much of Meshuggah. It took years and years, but then all these other. But it's just I think journalists, marketing specialists have to find a way to make a scene out of it, so
categorize it somehow.
We need to be able to market this. We need to say this is this, and it's for you people who like this, and it's somehow it's this whole like internet guitar nerd.
Yeah. Well, Meshuggah is very progressive rock kind of influenced. I think
Is it a genre you want to be lumped in?
Oh no, but I have no problem. Like honestly, on some regard, it's kind of like an offhanded compliment because I think those bands are sick. Like as far as the newer bands, I'd much rather listen to Periphery and Tesseract and Textures. Those are like some of my favorite new bands. But we're not really doing what they're doing. Mm-hmm. But if you listen to this one song, you might think we are. So it's kind of like this one song that came out yesterday it's a different vibe, and this might be the only song on the record that really has that vibe. So it's almost
like Tattoo for the new Van Halen.
Yeah, you're trying to throw people off with that.
No, well, we didn't have like I was talking to our manager, and I was like, all right, so what songs are we gonna release? And he's like, listen, he's like, just let the label do their thing. Like we're with this label Victory Records, which is like we're not like any other band. It's probably the closest band we've ever had. Like that's close to us is like Darkest Hour, but they're no longer on labels.
So you're not like Snapcase.
No, but I love like Hatebreed, Sadcase, Buried Alive, All Out War, Dead Guy. like I'm a big like old school records, and and I'm like like Bury Your Dead and Between the Buried and Me, and I like Muir, whatever. But they really made their like money like with like Hawthorne Heights and Thursday and Taking Back Sunday. So they have this
emo core
or screamo. But the idea is that they have a lot of commercial viability. They understand, and they're like gold and platinum records, like a whole other world that we've never gotten to. And our whole manager was like, "Yo, they know what they're doing.
Yeah,
let them do it." And they picked the song. So
how did you end up there though on Victory?
Essentially, our deal with Century Media, like we ended up extending our deal with Century Media when we did Ozfest in 2004, and it had a sales clause that if we didn't reach X amount of sales, that we were out of our deal at a certain point. So that happened, and so we were free agents in February 2010. So at the time we didn't have a manager, we didn't have a label. We were kind of like in no man's land. We didn't know what it was.
I think when we talked to you at Metal Rolls Radio, that you were kind of like, I don't even know if you were sure you were still a band.
Yeah, it was really. Because the thing is, like, we did the Rockstar Mayhem tour in 2009. It was a great tour, but it was like kind of like a financial and business disaster for the band. Like, and it ended up with us splitting with our original manager, put the band in a real financial kind of peril. And the thing is, it's like at the end of the day, as much as you love to rock out and have fun, if the business doesn't work, then the band's not going to work because it has to, like, you have to, it's expensive to do a band. It's expensive to get on the road, to get in a van, get in a bus, to hire, people that work for you and do all that stuff.
It's a stressful situation to begin with, and to add another stress to it,
Well,
so it makes it tough.
Did you ever think of playing style of music that actually makes money?
Well, here's the thing. I think that's actually, in a lot of ways that's not really totally accurate because, all right, if you were to look at music strictly from a business sense, you say, oh yeah, I'm gonna start a Blink-182 band, and I'm being the Backstreet Boys, whatever. You have way more competition. Like, there's a million people who are trying to make that. Yeah. So you're already going to a situation where it's, once you make it about that, I think it actually hurts you. Unless the situation where you have some like super talented like 20-year-old like singer, like a Christina Aguilera who's just like beautiful, talented, and then you give her like a great manager and label, and they kind of build an apparatus around that that you can sell. But I think it's very difficult to do that. Like people think, that like it's hard to write hit songs. That's why they pay people to do that. Or like there's like 80 of these guys who are just brilliant songwriters, and they write for all those people. Like if it was that easy, then everyone would do it. I think it's just about what you like. Like I think sometimes metal people have a hard time believing that like people in like pop groups or hip hop or whatever that they actually like it. I'm sure the dude in Nickelback is stoked on like writing Nickelback songs. It doesn't mean he's like a sellout because he probably likes that. Like I think there's a kind of like a real like pattern. So we keep it real. We want to do is like just let people do what they want. Like I like heavy shit. I like rock. I like a lot of stuff. But I know what our band is. And I think we're just, to me, the concept of the band, or at least kind of evolved, but it got to the point where we want to be a band like our favorite bands, like the bands that made us want to play, bands like Pantera and Sepultura and Slayer,
right?
Real metal bands, just like, and that really allows you to do kind of a lot of stuff. Pantera could have range. Could have Cemetery Gates, and they could have Slaughter. There's a lot of room for that, and so we figured out was like all of the best and the biggest metal bands were diverse. Right. They weren't one-trick ponies. I mean, obviously, Slayer's does one thing, and but we're not really trying to be Slayer. I feel like there's other bands in that came, like a band like Unearth. They're kind of taking the Slayer path. They're like, we're gonna be heavy or hatery. They're a better example. Like, they're just gonna punish you for 40 minutes on the record. They're gonna punish you for an hour and a half live, and we don't. It's just that doesn't really. That kind of bores us. We like to mix it up. We like a little melody. We like a little it's like the exhale and the inhale. Like kind of having the peaks and the valleys. That's
Well, not being the like you said, the pop stars. You guys are allowed that freedom because you're not. It's not a giant machine that would fail if you didn't write a specific kind of song. You're allowed that room to like you said, you have the range to experiment.
And I think a lot of those kind of notions are not really. I don't think they exist in the same way they did 20 years ago because the gatekeepers are they don't hold the keys anymore because of the internet and there's
true.
There's not like really the artists that sell the Nickelbacks we kind of mentioned or Adele. They run the show because the labels need them more than they need the labels. Once you get to a point where you blow up, then the label needs you because they only have 3 or 4 of those types of artists.
Right. I'd seen you had mentioned in an earlier interview that you felt like the band had to constantly reinvent and kind of reintroduce itself to new crowds. I was wondering what some of those things were that you do to kind of achieve that, to try and bring in new fans or to keep yourself kind of, I don't know, relevant. Well, not necessarily relevant, but maybe you guys interested or just to keep it so you're not doing the same thing every time.
You'll probably notice it even with the biggest bands do that. Like you probably remember like even like Slayer like during like the late '90s, they would take.
Is it Diabolus in Musica?
Yeah, but even after that, I mean, even on God Hates Us All, they were touring with Slipknot. They were taking out bands like American Head Charge because that's what was going on. And or even like Slipknot, they went from taking out Climber 55 to like in 2004 they're taking out As Late 9. And what I'm saying? Like you have to kind of associate yourself with what's going on now. I don't think we've actually been that successful at like really exposing the band to new fans outside of like just kind of you put a record out now and whoever's into metal's kind of find it. But some bands like Killswitch Engage, All That Remains, you go to their shows and it's like there's older people but there's lots of kids. There's 15-year-old and like for our band it's still kind of like a mystery. Like I think I don't know. I don't know if it's just the look of a band or the sound or who you tour with or what label you're on or if you can get your stuff in Hot Topic. I don't really know what it is. I know, but like that song we put out yesterday, people say it's gent, and I was like, to me, it's like almost like a blessing in disguise. It's like, all right, well, maybe some of those kids, or being on Victory Records, which is very youth oriented, will ultimately help.
Right. Excellent, great stuff. Stick around for another segment or two, but we're going to end this one here with Coyle from God Forbid. And we'll be right back with more Metal Rules.